Alex, a young man of 25, had driven for hours to reach the dirt road leading to the farm. He'd always lived in big cities, but something inside him longed for a drastic change, a fresh start. As he stepped out of his car, he took a deep breath of fresh air and felt the cool breeze on his face. Looking around, he saw the vast fields stretching out as far as he could see. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, creating an idyllic backdrop for his first day. In the distance, he noticed a tall, sturdy figure walking toward him. As Ethan finally approached, Alex felt the intensity of his gaze. Ethan, at 33, had a strong and mysterious presence, the kind of man who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. His handshake was firm, yet reserved, and his greeting was brief, as if each word was carefully chosen. Alex could tell that Ethan was not the type to smile easily. The few words they exchanged only deepened Alex's curiosity. He couldn't tell if Ethan was uncomfortable with his arrival or simply unaccustomed to visitors. The farm was isolated, holding secrets in every corner. Alex wanted to ask more about the place and about Ethan, but the invisible barrier that Ethan seemed to keep between them made him hesitate. It was as if an invisible force field kept him at a safe distance. As Ethan showed Alex to his quarters, he noticed his host's watchful gaze. It was a look that analyzed every movement as if trying to decipher his intentions. Alex felt uneasy, yet intrigued. He had never met someone so detached from the world, yet so intensely present. Night fell, and Ethan wished him a formal good night before disappearing through the door. When Alex lay down on the rustic wooden bed, his mind was a whirlwind of thoughts about Ethan. He felt that there was something there, a silent connection that both of them seemed to avoid. At the same time, he wondered if he was merely imagining it. Ethan was a man who exuded mystery, and Alex couldn't shake the desire to uncover what lay behind that facade. The next morning, Alex woke to the sound of roosters crowing and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Stepping outside, he saw Ethan already working in the fields, his gaze focused, his posture determined. The sight was both inspiring and challenging. He knew it would be difficult to break the ice with this man, but something inside him told him it would be worth the effort. He just didn't know how complicated that attempt would be. Early in the day, Alex tried to approach Ethan while he organized the farm tools. He started with simple questions about the work, trying to spark a casual conversation. Ethan responded briefly, not going into details as if he wanted to avoid any personal connection. The atmosphere between them was dense and almost uncomfortable, but Alex didn't give up. He knew he needed patience to deal with this reserved man. As they worked, Alex noticed how skilled Ethan was and how he seemed to know every detail about the farm. He watched Ethan's precise movements and the practical way he solved problems. Admiringly, Alex tried to express his impression, but Ethan only muttered something in response, unaffected by the compliment. This quiet, contained reaction only heightened Alex's curiosity, making him want to understand what made Ethan so distant. By late afternoon, when they finished working in the field, Ethan finally broke the silence. He asked Alex why he'd chosen such an isolated farm to work on. Taken aback by Ethan's first personal question, Alex explained that he needed a change of pace and that city life made him feel trapped. Ethan listened attentively, but reacted in a way Alex hadn't expected. He simply nodded without revealing his thoughts. However, there was something in Ethan's eyes that suggested he also understood the weight of the past and the need to escape from something. The serious expression on his face seemed to hide a story he wasn't ready to share. Alex felt a mix of frustration and empathy. He knew he was facing someone who'd faced deep challenges, but for some reason, still kept the world at arm's length. That night, after dinner, Alex was about to go to his room when Ethan approached, surprising him. Ethan told him that life on the farm wasn't easy and that Alex would need to prove he was prepared for the challenges. The statement sounded like a warning, but Alex understood it as a test. He accepted the challenge, firmly responding that he was ready to do whatever it took. Ethan simply nodded and returned to his silence. As Alex lay down to sleep, he reflected on the day and the difficulty of connecting with Ethan. Despite all his efforts, he still felt far from understanding who this man truly was. The barrier between them remained, yet Alex sensed there was something there, a bond waiting to be built. He just didn't know how to break down the walls Ethan had built around himself. The morning began with a lighter atmosphere between Alex and Ethan. As they worked side by side, Alex noticed Ethan was slightly less withdrawn than usual. He decided to seize the moment and, in a relaxed manner, shared a funny story from his childhood. To his surprise, Ethan gave a slight smile, the first one Alex had seen since arriving at the farm. That smile felt like a glimpse of the real Ethan, and it gave Alex the courage to try getting even closer. During a break, Alex asked Ethan about his past, hoping the moment of ease would encourage him to open up. Ethan hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, but after a moment, he began to speak, though briefly and without many details. He mentioned that the farm had belonged to his family for generations, and that he had decided to care for the place after a significant loss. Alex sensed the weight in Ethan's words and felt deep empathy for him. Their conversations became more frequent and intimate, and Alex could tell Ethan was finally starting to feel safe enough to share his emotions. There was a quiet understanding between the two of them, as if words were only part of what they truly felt. Each exchanged glance, every shy smile, represented a step closer to mutual understanding and the strengthening of their bond. At night, when the day's work ended, they began spending more time together, talking under the starry sky. Alex shared his own dreams and fears, feeling he could fully trust Ethan. For the first time, he talked about the pressure of his family's expectations and how the farm represented a freedom he'd never felt before. Ethan listened closely, showing that, though different, he too understood the weight of bearing responsibilities. Over time, both realized something special was growing between them. The farm, once a lonely place, was becoming a refuge where they could be authentic and free. Alex and Ethan knew that dealing with future challenges wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face them together. The trust they had in each other was the foundation of what they were building. The reconciliation was an important milestone, but both knew there was a long road ahead. Ethan was learning to confront his past pains, while Alex was finding a purpose he'd never imagined he'd have. The hope they now felt was stronger than their uncertainties, and that night, as they gazed at the stars side by side, they both felt that they were finally where they belonged. Days on the farm settled into a stable routine, but Alex could feel something shifting between him and Ethan. Ethan, in an effort to protect himself, began to pull away again, afraid of the intensity of what was developing. Alex didn't understand the sudden distance, and despite his efforts, he couldn't get any straight answers from Ethan. Frustration grew, and he started to wonder if he had done something wrong to create this barrier. The situation reached a breaking point one evening when, after dinner, Alex tried to talk to Ethan about the future of the farm and his role there. Ethan, visibly uncomfortable, responded evasively, making it clear he had no intention of deepening their relationship. Ethan's cold words felt like a blow to Alex, who felt rejected and undervalued. To him, there was something real between them, but Ethan seemed determined to deny it. The rejection led Alex to question whether he was truly welcome there. He began to consider leaving, thinking he might have misread the signs all along. The days that followed were marked by a painful silence between them, and Alex threw himself into his daily tasks, avoiding crossing paths with Ethan whenever possible. What once seemed like a promising connection had now become a source of sadness. As Alex prepared to leave, Ethan began to realize the emptiness his absence would bring. He understood that Alex's presence had filled a space he barely knew existed. The fear of losing someone important again began to haunt him, and he realized that his own pride and fear were pushing away the one person who had managed to break through his defenses. In a silent moment of desperation, Ethan decided to try and stop Alex from leaving. He found him by the barn, carrying a few bags. Unsure where to begin, Ethan hesitantly apologized, admitting that his fear of getting hurt again had made him act coldly. Although Alex was hurt, he saw sincerity in Ethan's words and recognized the effort he was making to deal with his own emotions. Their reunion was brief and quiet, but loaded with meaning. Both knew they were treading deep waters, full of uncertainties and past scars. But their decision to stay together in that moment, despite the challenges, was a sign that they were ready to face whatever came next. The tension between them hadn't disappeared, but something stronger was keeping them together, something both were willing to explore. After the conversation in the barn, Ethan and Alex decided to give their connection another chance. Their relationship began to evolve slowly but surely, with both of them taking care not to cross each other's boundaries. Ethan remained reserved, but little by little, he allowed Alex to get closer. This gradual shift brought a sense of hope to Alex, who finally felt he truly belonged at the farm. One day, as they worked side by side harvesting in the field, Ethan shared a childhood memory that had profoundly marked him. He spoke about how his father taught him the importance of maintaining the farm with love and dedication, and how losing his family had left a void he thought impossible to fill. Alex listened intently, sensing the depth of the pain Ethan carried. He resisted the urge to immediately comfort him, respecting the moment of vulnerability Ethan offered. Their conversations became more frequent and intimate, and Alex noticed Ethan finally felt safe sharing his feelings. There was a silent understanding between them, as if words were only a part of what they actually felt. Each exchanged look, each shy smile represented another step toward understanding and strengthening the bond they were building. At night, after the farm work was done, they began spending more time together, talking under the starry sky. Alex shared his own dreams and fears, feeling he could trust Ethan fully. For the first time, he talked about the pressure his family placed on him and how the farm represented a freedom he had never felt before. Ethan listened closely, showing that, in his own way, he understood the weight of carrying responsibilities. As the days passed, they both realized something special was growing between them. The farm, Once a lonely place became a haven where they could be themselves. Alex and Ethan knew it wouldn't be easy to face the difficulties the future might bring, but they were ready to do it together. The trust they had in each other was the foundation for what they were building. The reconciliation was a major step forward, but they both knew there was still a long road ahead. Ethan was learning to confront his past pain, while Alex was finding a purpose he had never expected. The hope they felt now was stronger than the uncertainties. And that night, as they gazed at the stars side by side, they both felt they were exactly where they were meant to be. The peace Alex and Ethan had found at the farm began to be threatened when an unexpected person arrived at the farm. It was Samuel, an old friend of Ethan's, someone he had lost contact with years ago. Samuel's presence brought instant tension, especially when he seemed surprised to see Alex there. His sudden arrival triggered insecurities and doubts in Alex, who couldn't understand the real reason for Samuel's visit. At first, Ethan was clearly unsettled by the visit, trying to act naturally, but Alex noticed he was visibly uncomfortable. Samuel, meanwhile, seemed determined to revive old memories, reminding Ethan of moments from a past Alex knew nothing about. With each story Samuel shared, Alex felt an increasing distance between himself and Ethan. He wondered if he really had a place in the world Ethan and Samuel shared. As the days went on, the situation became unbearable. Samuel occupied more and more of Ethan's time, and Alex began to feel like a stranger in his own home. He tried to ignore the jealousy and insecurity growing inside him, but it was hard. Samuel's presence made him question if Ethan was really committed to building something with him, or if he was still attached to old ties that might tear them apart. One day, during an honest conversation, Alex confronted Ethan about his feelings. He confessed the discomfort he felt around Samuel and the insecurity it stirred. Ethan, caught off guard, tried to reassure Alex, saying that Samuel was a part of his past and that he shouldn't worry. But for Alex, Ethan's words weren't enough. Doubt lingered, and he wondered if he really knew the man he loved. That night, Alex decided to give Ethan some space and take a few days away to clear his head. He told Ethan about his decision, and Ethan remained silent, unsure of how to respond. Alex left with a heavy heart, fearing that his absence might push Ethan to reevaluate what he truly wanted. He needed time to understand his own feelings and decide if he was ready to deal with Ethan's past. Alex's absence made Ethan face the situation seriously. He realized that to keep what he'd built with Alex, he would need to confront his past and set clear boundaries. Samuel's visit had stirred up memories, but Ethan knew his future depended on honesty and commitment to Alex. He was determined to win Alex back, showing that what they shared was stronger than any ghost from his past. Alex returned to the farm after a few days away, still feeling conflicted but determined to resolve the issues between him and Ethan. Upon his arrival, he saw that Samuel had left, leaving only a farewell note for Ethan. He felt a mix of relief and anxiety. The next step would be crucial in defining their future. He knew it was time for an honest confrontation. There was no more room for hesitation. That same evening, Alex found Ethan out in the field, working silently under the moonlight. When he saw Alex approaching, Ethan stopped what he was doing and waited, as if knowing that moment was inevitable. Without holding back, Alex began to speak, letting out everything he'd been holding inside. The insecurity, the fear, the jealousy, and the pain of feeling that maybe he'd never truly have a place in Ethan's heart. He didn't want to live in doubt and needed to know if Ethan was willing to fight for them. Ethan listened silently, absorbing every word, and when Alex finished, he took a deep breath before responding. He admitted that Samuel's reappearance had forced him to confront his past and realized that despite the memories, he wanted to leave all of it behind. He confessed that when Alex left, he understood that he couldn't bear to lose him. Ethan was ready to fully commit and promised Alex he would do whatever it took to rebuild his trust. The conversation was intense, and they both felt the weight of everything they had gone through up to that point. For the first time, Ethan was completely vulnerable in front of Alex, revealing his fears and uncertainties. Alex realized that Ethan was willing to change, and that their relationship mattered more than any insecurity. It was the first time they had fully opened up to each other, and the connection between them felt stronger than ever. In the end, they stood in silence, simply looking at each other under the starry sky. Alex extended his hand to Ethan, who took it firmly, as a symbol of the commitment they were making. It was a quiet promise that they would face the challenges together, certain that no obstacles would come between them again. The weight of the past week seemed to fade, and Alex felt a peace he hadn't experienced in a long time. He knew they would still have challenges to face, but now, with Ethan sincerely and fully by his side, he felt they could overcome anything. As they walked back to the house together, they both knew this moment marked a new beginning, a phase where the past no longer had power over the present. They fell asleep that night not only as companions, but as two men who, after many disappointments and conflicts, had chosen to build a life together. For Alex and Ethan, the farm was no longer just a place of solitude. It had become a shared home where they could be their truest selves without fear or hesitation. With the tension of the past finally resolved, Alex and Ethan entered a period of peace on the farm. Their daily routine was now filled with laughter, intimate conversations, and a deep understanding between them. They worked together in the fields, made plans for the future, and even started thinking about ways to expand the farm. To Alex, this place wasn't just a farm. It was the home he had always been searching for. One day, while working on a new project to improve the harvest, Ethan surprised Alex with a special gift, a simple silver ring that held profound meaning. He explained that he wanted it to be a symbol of everything they had overcome together and all the dreams they still had to achieve. Emotionally moved, Alex accepted the gift, understanding that this gesture was a sign of trust and love that went beyond words. From that moment on, they began dreaming bigger. They decided to expand the farm to welcome visitors and teach sustainable farming practices. Ethan, once so reserved, now felt comfortable sharing his passion with others, thanks to Alex's constant support. The idea of turning the farm into a place of learning and hospitality reinforced their shared purpose, bringing even more meaning to what they were building together. The following months were full of hard work and fulfillment. Every day, they found new reasons to smile and strengthen the bond they shared. The farm, once just a lonely place for Ethan, was now a vibrant, loving home. The harvests were plentiful, and the changes they made attracted curious visitors. They felt fulfilled as they shared what they loved with the world, each in their own way. One starry night, sitting side by side on the porch, Ethan held Alex's hand and thanked him for never giving up on him. Alex smiled, remembering the moments of insecurity and the barriers they had faced together. Both knew that the journey had been full of challenges, but none of that mattered now. The farm had become a symbol of resilience and love, a place where they had found not only each other, but also themselves. With a future still full of possibilities, Alex and Ethan knew that no matter what happened, they would be ready to face it all together. The farm would be the home of their dreams and all the things they still wanted to accomplish. As night enveloped the landscape around them, they fell asleep with light hearts, knowing their true home wasn't just the farm, it was the love they shared. With the arrival of a new season, Alex and Ethan prepared for the next chapter on the farm. The months they had spent together had transformed them, and now they worked like a true team, confident in what they had built. The farm was more productive than ever, and the atmosphere was one of growth and renewal. They both knew that while difficulties were part of life, they were ready to face any challenge together. One late afternoon, Ethan surprised Alex with a special gift, a small, simple silver ring. He explained that he wanted the ring to be a symbol of everything they had overcome together and the dreams they still had to build. Alex, moved, accepted the gift, understanding that this gesture represented a deep commitment, something beyond words or promises. From that moment on, they began to dream even bigger. They decided to expand the farm to welcome visitors and teach about sustainable farming. Ethan, once so reserved, now felt comfortable sharing his passion with others, thanks to Alex's constant support. Transforming the farm into a space for learning and hospitality strengthened their shared purpose, bringing even more meaning to what they were creating together. The months that followed were filled with work and accomplishments. Each day, they found new reasons to smile and deepen the bond between them. The farm, once a lonely place for Ethan, had become a vibrant home filled with love. The harvests were bountiful, and the changes they made attracted curious visitors. They felt fulfilled, sharing what they loved with the world. One night, under a blanket of stars, sitting side by side on the porch, Ethan held Alex's hand and thanked him for never giving up on him. Alex smiled, recalling the moments of insecurity and the barriers they had overcome. They both knew the road had been full of challenges, but none of that mattered now. The farm was now a place of love and resilience, a place where they had not only found each other but also themselves. With a future still full of possibilities, Alex and Ethan knew that no matter what came, they were ready to face it all together. The farm would be the home of their dreams and all the things they still wanted to achieve. As the night wrapped around them, they fell asleep, knowing that their true home wasn't just the farm, but the love they shared.